of the dollar, things have been pretty bullish. We have had a pretty nice move to the upside since we last spoke. I mean, it was during we spoke, actually, price was pretty bullish. Since we last spoke, hasn't really gone anywhere. But nonetheless, it's definitely looking very bullish. We've had a really strong move to the upside the past 24, 48 hours. And price looks like it's just below the swing high there, but looks like we're probably going to get a test of that. We do have NFP on Friday, so I wonder maybe price going to settle a little bit before that. I mean, I know my bias in terms of the technicals. I'm still very, very bullish on USD longer term. As I've spoken about, we've got a very big breakout on the weekly chart, which to me indicates a lot more upside this year potentially for the dollar. As long as we stay above this, of course, if you come crashing back down below and close back within the range, then that will be a sign that that was just a big fake out. And at that point, I'll be expecting a lot more downside and a swing to fill the range. So there is still possibility for both upside and downside, as there always is. But because this breakout is confident, I am very bullish in USD until proven otherwise, looking for a swing back to the high here at 113. So that's the bias already set. In terms of the lower charts, we're still seeing higher highs and higher lows. I was looking for a bigger pullback yesterday for the DXY back into the 107 area, as we had a very impulsive push down, but prices completely reversed all that momentum very quickly. So the bigger pullback I was looking for doesn't look likely. And at this point, we probably will see price just take the high. I did mention on Discord, it would be nice to see price have one more pullback. Maybe if NFP comes out bearish for DXY, we might see a bit of a bearish reaction. Then we see the buyers take control again. I did point out this level here of resistance, price structure. Would be nice to see price maybe come back and retest that from the next higher low in this bullish sequence and potentially use that to continue back higher again. So that would be nice, but it's definitely very hypothetical. You know, will price have that push down? Maybe. Will it break to the upside? Potentially as well. All I can do is have a bias, find areas in which I could look to trade that bias and just wait to see if the market will get there or not. Of course, I'm not looking to trade the DXY, but my main focus on pairs like EURUSD, especially pound, which has been falling out the sky with pound weakness. That looks good to short on another pullback. And if we can see some USD weakness, that will help Euro pullback, help dollar CAD pullback, so on and so forth, and provide opportunities on those corresponding pairs. In terms of my analysis for the DXY, is very simple, expecting new highs. Maybe we do see one more dip to the downside, back to the 1084, 1085 region. So I would keep an eye on that. But I do think these highs will probably go this week. And we do have the next big psychological level, which is at 110. So that's kind of where I'm looking for price to head to next. Looking to the left, there's no kind of big area of resistance or key level or target. We haven't been at these prices in a while, in like over 2 years about. So not really so concerned about areas over here, but just more concerned about the current bullish structure, which we are still seeing, which is still holding up very well. So yeah, more upside for USD. Hopefully can get a bit of a pullback at some point. Euro looking very bearish. Of course, the inverse of that. USD strength causing Euro to fall, expecting price to get back to that swing low there and probably see some more downside. Again, Euro USD yesterday I was talking about that bigger pullback. Doesn't look like it's forming. Again, I will never say never. We still potentially could get a move to the upside. Still do have NFP on Friday. Maybe that does cause some upside there, and then we can get the drop I was looking for. I was speaking about the retest of this consolidation here. Nice drop there, a lot of momentum. It would be nice for price to come back and revisit around the 0.618, put that next lower high in, in comparison to that prior high. Of course, we had the lower high, broke the low. So it would be nice to get something like this and then the short. But yeah, at the moment in time, everything's looking pretty bearish for Euro. We're only in touching distance of that low. So it's a bit of a it's a big call to ask for Euro USD to make that one extra pullback to continue further. It could very much easily just roll over from here. So again, part of trading, you're just waiting for the opportunities to arise. This is what would be something I'll be interested in for Euro to short, but I wouldn't be surprised if we keep falling. In terms of an intraday level, because I was speaking about some intraday trades yesterday, I did say a retest of that range just above us could be a nice place to short. Still haven't gone and retested that area yet. So if we were to see something like this, that could be like a nice bear flag pattern. So there's your flag, impulse, correction, correction 2, and then expecting the follow through to the downside. So that could still be a really nice place to short on the lower time frames. Maybe a 30 or 50-minute chart. Might want to keep an eye out for that. This is, of course, far more realistic than the bigger pullback I'm looking for. But again, we can only trade the setups we're after. So if you're looking at the lower charts, keep an eye on that. But definitely very bearish and expecting a lot more downside. In terms of pound USD, of course, pound has been absolutely tanking. And yeah, pound USD has not been messing around. Again, for this one, I was looking for the bigger pullback as well. Pretty much the identical setup to Euro. Had the fib going on. Was looking for the retest of this support level, which of course lines up with the 0.618 very well. And again, I was looking for that bigger push back up again for then the drop. But of course, never had that. Pound weakness yesterday just stole the show. We crashed through the lows and create new lows there as well. And I think we've actually taken out the daily level support. Yeah, we have. We just gone and wicked through that. So yeah, pound USD is not playing around at all. But yeah, in my book, I do think more downside is still likely at this point. Of course, now that we've taken out a major low, you probably do want to see a bit more of a pullback this time because there's definitely a lot of buyers around these areas. The fact we've taken out liquidity underneath that low means we could spring to the upside quite meaningfully. A lot of sellers who are holding their positions longer term could have had this as a major low to take profit, and we could see some bigger buyers stepping into the market there. Of course, we could still completely crash through. But in terms of shorts, I would like to see a much bigger pullback now. And in fact, the level I mentioned at the start of the week still looks pretty good. If price was to come back and retest this support level, which of course hasn't really been retested as resistance yet, because we did break above and break back below. So price hasn't really respected it as resistance. So it would be nice to see that bigger pullback, retag that same area. This is now a past lower high, which of course has created the new low. So this would be a nice place to revisit, retest, find some confirmations, and of course, ride that to the downside. As long as we keep up these lower highs, we could really spill over. I've mentioned that big trend line on the daily chart we've broken through. So that could be the sign of more downside to come. It broke through a while ago, but as you can see, really nice test of this area. One over there, second over there, third. Almost got the fourth, but price crashed through. So now that we've taken out this low, is this the next low in store for us potentially? So that's literally what we're looking at. Until price starts to break structure to the upside, I'm just expecting more downside, and that would be the next low we could start looking at now that this low has been taken out. So yeah, very bearish on pound. Expecting more downside, but I do want to see a pretty big pullback now since we've taken out some major lows. I could consider maybe a break and retest of this low here, but it's too close to major support, so I would avoid that. I would be looking at something a little bit bigger. In terms of dollar CAD, this has been not as bullish as you would expect. I mean, maybe it has because CAD's been a little bit strong as well, but of course, we haven't really taken out the highs yet, and I wouldn't be too surprised if we do see a bit more downside. In all honesty, I do think the retest of 1.415, which is the level I'm looking at, is still a possibility, still pretty far away. Don't get me wrong, but this move here is still very, very corrective. Haven't seen much momentum like we saw with pound or even with euro. It's been very corrective on the way up. So I wonder, is this a strong impulse for a correction for another move back down, which then could end up giving me the trade I'm looking for, or at least get to the area I'm looking at, and then I can start considering some longs from here at 1.415. I've talked about this area for a few weeks now. Really nice confluences down there. Lines up very well with the 0.618 of the fib. We've also got a trendline confluence connecting the higher lows there too. So it would be very nice for price to get then. Does it line up with the 200 moving average? Okay, the 200's gone above it. But that would be a nice area to buy from. If not, then as I said yesterday, we'll wait for the break of the high. So price does become bullish again and does go and break the high, then this becomes a nice opportunity to long the retest. I still do have higher prices I'm expecting dollar CAD to get to. Let me go to the weekly chart. I'm still looking at this major level of resistance, which is around 1.46. That is still the target for dollar CAD. So a break and we tested the high, you can look to ride it back into that level if that was to happen. So that's kind of what I'm still eyeing up for dollar CAD. In terms of Aussie dollar, of course, still falling to the downside. Have we taken out the lows yet on the daily chart? I don't think so. I think we've probably just spiked right into it, but not quite taken it out. It probably will do it today, to be honest, or at least by NFP, even just if it's a random wick. So yeah, it looks like we're not getting the bigger pullback I was looking for there for Aussie dollar. Probably just going to end up taking out this low pretty soon. If we do that, I'm no longer really interested in shorting Aussie dollar, to be honest. In fact, I might start eyeing up some counter trend moves to take it back up again. Reason being is because that is such a major low. This is the low which gave us a really strong move to the upside. So selling underneath that is always going to be very tricky, especially in FX, where we tend to take out major lows or major highs and reverse on ourselves. Not that we can't continue falling, we definitely can, but this is not the smartest area, especially as a swing trade. If you're day trading, intraday trading, sure, if you're in and out, you can look to take positions there and call it a day. But if you're looking to hold positions overnight, few days, a week, there's a good chance that price will take out that low and then eventually come back and push up again. So all your profits gone. So yeah, I wouldn't mind some counter trend moves. Again, I still do think the bigger move for Aussie dollar is still a lot more downside. I'm still looking at the COVID wick down here as longer term targets, but we might see a bigger pullback before that happens, lower highs somewhere, and then resume the journey. So that's kind of what I'll eye up next. A much bigger pullback before I do decide to short again. In terms of New Zealand dollar, this one still has a bit of room to the downside before it takes out the major low. So if I was to drag that in, take that across, you can see we are still definitely looking very bearish, but not quite taking out that low like Aussie dollar is doing. So this one, the pullbacks are still a possibility. Of course, whether that possibility will become a reality is is up in the air, but I still like these areas up here, 0.576, 0.58. Would be nice to see a pullback into that area. We're still looking fairly tired in this channel here, so there's that possibility we could have that bigger pullback. We tried to do it over here, didn't really amount to much, so I'm kind of hoping we can go and get that bigger pullback and then sell off again. But those are the only areas which look good to me. 0.578, 58, and then yeah, longer term looking at pushback down to 0.551. In terms of gold and silver, these guys have been a little bit bullish, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, gold's slightly pushing to the upside, trying to take out that high, but unsuccessful so far. Again, as I've been saying with gold for the past maybe a couple of weeks now, I'm not a fan of the price action. Just looks like a very ugly range. Equal highs up there, equal lows. Price has tried to break through the low a few times. It's failed. We retested the support again pretty well. Looks like it's holding up. Maybe you see a swing back to the highs there. And these turn into be some really nice high lows that continue maybe, but not a trade for me. I've spoken about this low here. I think that's still a great place for a long. Of course, price is nowhere near that area at the moment, but should we get there, I definitely would be looking at some longs and looking for some confirmations in that particular area. But right now, I don't really have a good read on gold. I'm still bullish overall, still looking for a push back to the all-time highs. So I know that's my bias, and that's because of the higher time frame trend, which is still at play. Still very bullish market here. I don't really want to be looking to short gold until I see strong evidence that we're about to turn around. This is still a very bullish market in higher time frames. So, as a swing trader who's looking to hold positions longer term, I will have a lot more luck with the buys than the sells. So I know I'm looking to buy, just need to find a good setup for that, which hasn't really come around yet. In terms of silver I do like. It's getting there. It's a really nice double bottom. Not long ago, we've taken up the highs there as well. So again, I just need a bit more development in terms of the buys, higher highs, higher lows forming. I can look to get in a higher low somewhere and hopefully ride it all the way back up to the highs, best case scenario. Of course, there is this area here to contend with, so I'll watch out with that. That could start another bearish swing. but I am looking at us turning around and becoming bullish again. You can see on the daily chart, we've got the swing low here, which create the swing high. And if I whip out the Fibonacci, we've had a healthy pullback and now looking for the continuation. And as you can see, we're also bouncing on the 200 moving average there on the daily, which is always a nice confluence there as well. So yeah, still very bullish on silver. This is still what I'm looking for. Have to be patient, but at the moment, nothing quite there yet.